Just 2 days after NYPD Commissioner James O'Neill fired Daniel Pantaleo over the death of Eric Garner, Pantaleo, he is suing to get his job back. On Monday, Mayor Bill de Blasio, he applauded the news of his termination. Take a listen.
The fear was because for a long time, people wondered if we would be left without justice. The United States Department of Justice, absent and unwilling to act, even to come to any decision for 5 long years. But today, we have finally seen justice done. Today, we saw the NYPD's own disciplinary process act fairly and impartially.
But Pat Lynch, the head of the largest policing union, well, he did not see eye to eye with the mayor. In fact, he blasted the decision as well as the commissioner. Take a listen.
Absolutely essential that the world know that the New York City Police Department is rudderless and frozen. The leadership has abandoned ship and left our police officers on the street. To try to say I was a cop for 34 years, but now I'm the commissioner, I go by different rules, is absolutely wrong. He has more of a responsibility to sometimes stand alone and make a proper, appropriate decision. He decided instead not to do that. He decided to run to the corner that has the loudest crowd.
Well, our own Dominic, who's been covering this story for years and has spoken to all the principals involved in this on both sides of the issue, today spoke with Civilian Complaint Review Board Executive Director Jonathan Darche, as well as Senior Advisor and Secretary to the board, Jerika Richardson.
Let me start this way. 5 long, agonizing years for the Garner family, but also for Officer Pantaleo. It took a national movement against alleged police brutality. 5 years. Why did this case, from start to finish, take so long?
You know, it's something that has been troubling the CCRB and I think the NYPD too, as we've looked back at how long this has taken. The CCRB received a complaint about the incident almost immediately after it happened and began an investigation when we received that complaint. But almost immediately, the investigation was put on hold at a request from the Richmond County District Attorney's Office. As soon as the Richmond County District Attorney's Office announced that they had received a no true bill, we received another hold request from the Eastern District of New York, the U.S. Attorney.
The feds.
Yes. And then subsequently from Central Justice, we received a hold request. And so it wasn't until the city was able to determine that there was nothing more that was going to happen as a result of this federal investigation that we were able to move forward. The CCRB actually voted the case almost a year before charges were filed because the NYPD upheld the request, the hold request from the Department of Justice longer than we did. But at that point, the statute of limitations had already expired, and when we were able to file charges, we did, and we prosecuted the case. The evidence that the CCRB presented was enough to substantiate the misconduct that Police Officer Pantaleo committed, and the judge recommended that Police Officer Pantaleo be terminated from the department, and Police Commissioner O'Neill, who was the final arbiter of discipline, terminated Police Officer Pantaleo from the department.
Now, I know you spent a lot of time with the Garner family, and Mr. Garner's daughter, Emerald, she thanked the Police Commissioner O'Neill for making the decision and promised to continue fighting for justice so that this doesn't happen again. But I want to quote what she said. "I truly and sincerely thank you for firing the officer, regardless of however you came up to your decision. You finally made a decision, and that should have been made 5 years ago. Your reaction, Jerika?
Well, 5 years, I think we can all agree this has been a tragedy, and it took so long for this family. You know, no verdict by a judge, no decision by a police commissioner will ever bring Eric Garner back. But I think the quote that you raised from Emerald really speaks to the fact that she was saying, thank you for doing your job. And really that's what CCRB has done in this case. You know, it is our responsibility to serve the citizens of New York City, and it was our responsibility to serve this family. And I think one thing that we can learn from all of this and this process is that civilian oversight works, and we need to continue to do all we can to strengthen that and empower these oversight bodies. We were established by the community, and so we really want to make sure that folks know that we will continue to be a resource for New Yorkers and provide that independent oversight.
The claim from the PBA and supporters of Mr. Pantaleo, they say that the firing of this officer was not warranted, to which you respond.
Police Officer Pantaleo used a prohibited chokehold, causing the death of Mr. Garner. In my knowledge and experience, the only case that's directly on point was the incident in the Bronx where an officer strangled a young man for hitting his car with a football.
Francis Lavodi, officer.
Yes, who was also
in
terminated.
Anthony Baez case.
Correct. And so to me, the punishment in both cases is similar and appropriate.
Do you folks think that Officer Pantaleo should be in jail?
It's not really for us to decide. We don't handle criminal cases. We handle cases of police misconduct, and we look at them through a different lens than a state or federal prosecutor.
Yeah, our process is purely administrative, and so it would be inappropriate for us to weigh into anything that has to do with criminal charges.
Supporters of Mr. Pantaleo say that the sole reason why he's unemployed is that he's a victim of politics. And note that Mayor de Blasio is running for president, and this issue, as you both know, came up during the Democratic debate in Detroit. Is he a victim of politics?
The CCRB substantiated the allegations against Police Officer Pantaleo before the mayor was running for president. The CCRB filed disciplinary charges before the mayor was running for the president. The CCRB recommended Police Officer Pantaleo's termination before the mayor was running for president. The CCRB proved that Police Officer Pantaleo used a prohibited chokehold on Mr. Garner. The trial started after I think the campaign was announced, but this is not something that was done for politics. This is what the CCRB does. We investigate cases, and when misconduct is substantiated, the most serious cases, we bring charges in the trial room, and we try and obtain discipline against the members of service who committed misconduct.
I mean, the facts are the facts, you know, quite simply as John laid out. There are multiple reviewers in this process, and everyone found the same thing, that Pantaleo was not fit to continue working for the department.
The PBA claims that, and I know this is not directly your area for either one of you, but the PBA claims that the police department of New York City is now frozen, that officers have to second guess their decision. They point to the dousing of water on police officers, Chinese food thrown at police officers, that it's a very bad environment now, especially because of the Pantaleo decision for the average police officer on the streets of New York City. You respond?
Well, I'm happy to respond to that. I think overwhelmingly we've seen that majority of officers in the department are doing their job, and they're serving the citizens of New York, and they're doing it well every day, you know. And I honestly think accountability is good for the department. As someone who has worked with law enforcement in different capacities over the years, we know how important it is to bring police and community together. And if civilians in New York City see misconduct occurring and then never see any consequences or repercussions for anyone, how do you build trust with the community? Accountability actually will probably improve the relationships with officers. And I've talked to a lot of officers who are doing their job and doing it well. And when we're in this climate where people don't think that there is accountability, then they're the ones that bear the brunt of that. So I think at the end of the day, it's good for all parties involved.
I close this way, and I want a reaction from both of you. What does the prosecution of Officer Pantaleo say about the Civilian Complaint Review Board?
CCRB can get results for the people of the city of New York. If you feel you've been the victim of police misconduct, call us. You can reach us on our website. You could come down to our office at 100 Church Street. You could call 311. We will investigate the complaint. If we determine that misconduct occurred, we will recommend discipline to the police commissioner, and if we have to, we will go to trial and prove that that misconduct occurred. And I think the trial of Police Officer Pantaleo shows the quality prosecutions and investigations that this agency is capable of.
I think it just really underscores the fact that civilian oversight works, and it's an important resource that we all should make sure that we exercise and use. We're the only body in the nation and the world, quite frankly, that does administrative prosecutions. We've hosted folks from Ireland and Ethiopia, Memphis and Seattle. Everyone else across the world really comes here to New York City to learn about what we do and how we do it and try to replicate it in other jurisdictions. And the citizens of New York really are here on the front lines and have this option that everyone else does not. And so we encourage them to use it because we're here to support them and investigate these cases independently.
Coming up next, the first Netflix documentary produced by Obama's production company, it has just been released, and it goes directly after President Trump without even mentioning his name. After this break, we'll show you what we mean.